Hey, and welcome to another number 10th episode of DVD Bunker.
Digits.
At least 10th recorded episode. We'll see if it ever airs, you know?
I feel the relationship already starting to crumble.
Strain is here.
I'm sure it'll fumble before this gets to you.
Well, you know, you brought that, Yoko Ono around, and she's got all these ideas for our show now.
Yeah, she's insufferable for sure.
She always has been. So if you've never watched before, my name's Brian. This is Matt.
Hey, Brian.
We do a show here where we look through my personal DVD collection. We try to take movies I don't remember too well and assess them and see how they hold up in the scrutiny of our newfound... No, we don't have any newfound anything.
Barely any scrutiny.
Barely
really.
any scrutiny, yeah. It's pretty loose around here, I'm not going to lie. But either way, today's choice is Aeon Flux, 2005's Aeon Flux.
Aeon Flux. Is that how you say it? Aeon. I never knew how to say it.
I'm going to say Aeon Flux.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I just went off of the ads for the movie and let them teach me how to say things. So, it's all right.
It works for me.
Now, so Aeon Flux is another adaptation. We've done a couple adaptations. We did LXG. Now we're going to touch on this is a TV to movie adaptation. It was a animated short that aired on Liquid Television and MTV in like 91, 92. They had some like short films.
I remember this when it was on.
Right. Well, and then in 95 it got like a full-on 10 half-hour episodes.
Okay.
Like an actual season.
Yeah, okay.
And then that was it. And I think there was talks about more and just never materialized or whatever. But as far as now, why don't you tell me what you remember about Aeon Flux, the show? Like, tell me what you remember about the show.
I remember, and this will tell you how much I know about how deep I am into the Aeon Flux series is. I remember the bug flying into the girl's eyelash, and then I said, "Fuck it, I'm out. I'm not doing this." That was it.
That was the intro. That was like the opening,
so
the end of the
when this came on MTV, I was just like, ugh, and then I would turn something else on. I never gave it a chance. I never
gave it a chance. Okay, so I watched it not as religiously as these DVD cases might have you believe. But around the time the movie came out, and I was big into collecting my DVDs, obviously, and this got released on DVD, I was like, I'm going to snap that up, because I always thought it was really cool, even though I didn't watch it as religiously when it was on. When I did catch it, I enjoyed it, and I was like, oh, and my young, like, teen brain, 'cause I would have been like 14 or something. There's a lot of like kind of like heavily sexually suggestive elements to it and stuff. So I was never one for the tentacle porn or anything, but this was like leading in that direction. Had I been more into this at 14, maybe I would have gotten more into.
So this is like a step down from tentacle porn.
I mean,
I would have loved this show. That's what you're saying.
Well, maybe it would have been too tame for you then, is the case.
Probably.
I just would have been like, what is this? This is some G-rated nonsense.
Yeah,
but I think this show was more about like sexual tension and and there's definitely some eroticism in it and stuff. But just real basically to give you the basic premise of the show. And the reason I'm talking a lot about the show is because, true to the idea of our show, I don't remember this movie very well.
Okay.
And I don't necessarily think that it's very close to the show.
Okay.
But I'm not really sure. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the show, and then when we come back from watching the movie, we'll have a frame of reference. That's my plan here. So, like, basically, Aeon Flux is a, like, spy assassin in this world where there's basically, like, two kind of warring societies.
Okay.
Dystopian future, and she has, like, a love-hate relationship with her antagonist / lover, Trevor. Oh, hold on, I wrote down his name. Trevor Goodchild.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, and on the show, basically every episode of the show, the continuity is real loose. They're always like, it's some mission having to do with the conflict that they're kind of constantly in, but it's never... Like, the mission is never carried on into the next episode. It's like, that was either a success or a failure, and then the next time you see them, you just see more of the story, but you don't necessarily need to see all the parts. Each story is kind of in itself a little bit separated.
Okay.
And it really is more about her relationship with Trevor, and their kind of back and forth. And so, movie came out, 2005. This was Charlize Theron's first big major release after she won the Oscar for Monster.
Oh, okay, so this is like kind of a cash in on her cash in on us.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I didn't really, like, I'm sure when we come back and we watch it, we can talk more about the cast, because there are some notable people in the cast, but I really just wanted to focus on Charlize Theron and talk about people who, like, win Oscars and then make questionable career decisions after that in an attempt to cash in. I think we all know the Cuba Gooding Jr. Snow Dogs scenario that I'm seeing of, but, you know, that's another one. Like, she thought, I'm a big star now. The studio thought she's a big star now. We can throw her in an adaptation, but they didn't remember that, like, the movie has to be good too. You can sell them. You can get people into the theater on the back of the star and the premise, but if the movie isn't good, you're not going to make the money you need to make.
Yeah.
So,
and I think there's some hubris there too. Like, I can make this movie good. What would otherwise be forgettable?
Yeah.
I'm now an Academy Award winner.
And I mean, I don't even think so much whether it's her or the studio or the director, who we can talk about in a minute, but. And I think we still see it today. This was even before, this is back when we talked about it in the LXG episode, they thought they had this adaptation thing down. They were just like, psh, we know how to adapt stuff. We got this. And they would just take a property that people had fond memories of and throw, take a generic Matrix knockoff script and just kind of blend them together and create what I'm pretty sure we're going to see today. The one other thing I did want to talk about was the director. Her name is Karyn Kusama.
Yeah.
She got her start with a movie called Girl Fight. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Michelle Rodriguez. It's like a boxing movie, like a girl boxing movie.
I get you.
Uh-huh. And so then she did this in 2005, and she's worked on other things. She worked in TV and things. She did Jennifer's Body, which was the Megan Fox vampire? Is it a vampire movie?
I actually left that movie.
I never saw it.
Like a double feature thing, and I walked in and I was like, watch 20 minutes, and I was like,
my garbage detector went off on that one. I was like, won't ever be seeing that.
Bummer.
And then she has another movie coming out this year, XX, which was a horror compilation, like a couple short stories, all centered around women. So she clearly likes doing females. This director likes doing women-centered movies.
That's cool.
Yeah, Girl Fight, Aeon Flux, Jennifer's Body, all female leads, kind of female-driven ideas. So I think that's an interesting thing. I don't know. It's arguable to say has she ever done it well.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's good to see how many shots you get to blow people's money. I think this movie lost about $15 million or something like that. That's a big... On a $60 million movie, that's a pretty big hunk of change.
Yeah, and we'll go back to one of our favorite segments. We'll look at a couple reviews after we watch the movie, too.
I'm sure they're nothing but kind.
It's glowing, absolutely glowing, as in burn this movie on a pyre glowing, but glowing nonetheless. So, is there anything else we need to go over before we get started on this thing?
No, I say we go watch Aeon Flux.
Mm-hmm. Oscar winner Charlize Theron's Aeon Flux. All right, so we made it. We're back from watching Aeon Flux, and
welcome back.
So, tight 86 minutes this movie. So I feel like we were just here.
Yeah, this was a short. Yeah, this is on the end. You're like, wow, that was
a short one. When you got a half hour shorter running time than Overboard. Nope. We don't have that much more story to tell.
That's a complicated movie, though, Overboard. A lot of story to tell.
Well, arguably, I would say this movie could have used a couple extra minutes to tell its story, but, we'll just let it, we'll see how she goes. Let's talk it out. Because there are some things in this movie that I was struggling with, and, like, is it like, oh, we're being confusing on purpose, that's part of it, we're twisting the story, or is it just our movie is poorly written and you're having trouble keeping up what's going on? Is it I'm not smart enough, or is it I'm too smart for the movie? That's, I think, is the question.
Yeah, and I can't help because I was confused for a lot of it, and then they would reveal stuff, and I'd be like, okay, all right. All right, I think I remember something about that.
Okay, maybe. All right, so basic plot outline is in 2011, a virus kills like 99% of the people on Earth. Trevor Goodchild develops a cure and saves the remaining 5 million people.
Yeah.
It moves them all into like a single city, the only single Brenya. I think it's called Brenna.
Bregna or Brenna. Yeah, it's
I think they pronounce it Brenna, but
G.
it's got that silent G. It's pretentious,
Yeah.
and it looks pretentious as fuck too. We can get in the aesthetic in a little bit, but just to say that your silent G is appropriate. Let's put it that way. Oh, Brenna.
There's definitely not a mixed martial arts league in this town. Or
Exactly.
even some sort of underground. There's not even homeless people to fight.
No, everything's when you only got 5 million people and the whole world is a single city, you should be able to at least support your city,
true.
right?
They're doing all right.
They're doing okay. They do look like they're living pretty good. So she gets her first mission to go and like infiltrate the. I don't know what it is. It's like surveillance. Is it some kind of like surveillance?
Yeah, it seems like they always know what everybody's doing. They've got this pool. It's
like some way that the Goodchild dynasty or whoever the governing body, whatever they call them, is watching over everybody. And before she goes off on her mission, we meet her doubting sister. She's got a sister, of course, who's like, don't get involved. You shouldn't, we should just try to live our lives. The minute I saw her, I was like, oh, she's dead. For sure. And what happens while Aeon Flux is on her mission? She gets murdered. Just somebody walks straight up and murders her.
Runs past Aeon Flux.
Right, and then as Aeon Flux is coming home from her mission, she sees her daughter, her sister being carried out in public view. They have no ambulance or anything. It's just 4 guys carrying a body through the streets, and it's covered with a see-through sheet.
It really looks like they're performing a magic trick or something. That's what it looks like. At any moment, you wait for David Blaine to pop up and
they just make her body levitate away.
I mean, yeah.
Now she gets her mission to go kill Trevor Goodchild. She, of course, knows that he's the bad guy, so he's the one who had her sister killed. She's stoked to go do that.
Yeah, she's ready.
So she breaks in, and this is where we meet her buddy, Handfoot is what I just called her in my notes. Handfoot. She's kind of like her protege.
What's the purpose of having 4 hands instead of feet?
She's more acrobatic. She can grab things with her hands. It's the climb, and she can grab stuff up off the ground and throw it. But I'll tell you what, I can monkey grab pretty good with my toes. I'm not gonna lie. I've perfected. When you're a big guy and you don't want to bend over, sometimes you get good at what you can grab with your feet and whoop, bring it up to your hand. I'll get there.
She does.
So honestly, maybe I would be the perfect candidate for hand feet. Now that we think about it.
Yeah, but that's what a waste of science. You're
it's like instead of being
off the floor,
exactly
looking at him,
instead of using them to do some kind of amazing acrobatics, it's just for me to be even lazier than I am right now and bend over slightly less.
Drinking, teach yourself.
Now I can have a beer in all 4 of my hands.
You know what? I'm back. I take it back. I think this is a good. That was a good idea.
This is a good idea.
We should do it.
So she gets her buddy Hands Feet to help her break into the Citadel, which is surrounded by a killer garden, right? So I think now's a good time, since we're about to talk about the killer garden, let's just talk about the world a little bit. Do we like this sci-fi world?
I like some of it, and some of it I think is bananas.
Well, there's a real kind of Star Trek Demolition Man kind of
definitely Demolition Man.
The real ultra peaceful, and everybody's wearing kind of bland colored robe. Well, not bland, they're colorful, but everybody's in robes, and everything's real kind of clean and sterile. And there's a weird mix of everything's kind of covered in plants.
Yeah, there's definitely a oneness with nature. There's everything they
have. But it's weird because their whole city is walled off from the outside world.
Yeah.
And it's this thing of don't go through the wall. The wall, what's on the outside is dangerous. The only place that's livable is in this. So it's weird that everything's so tied in with nature inside when they're so afraid of the outside.
Yeah, and it's this weird high tech. It's not really high tech, but it kind of.
Well, yeah.
It suits their needs. It's kind of high tech.
Yeah, like the killer garden. You've got these weird fruits hanging from the trees, but then the fruits spin around and shoot darts, shoot that have poison.
Think of the size. These things are the size of pineapples, and they literally shoot
endless darts. There's just
I guess they're just
everywhere,
just just cutting the shit out of wood in there.
Although they're constantly dodging them, Hands Feet gets hit with a couple, and there seems to be no adverse effect.
in this part, she just runs. She just takes all the damage in this part.
Right. That's. I think
ahead.
in the movie, it's like I need her help, but really, it's so that the movie can show us how dangerous the killer garden is without hurting Charlize Theron in any way.
Which is not very dangerous.
Right. Right. She falls on this. There's this like bladed grass. Where it's like tiny little, and she full on with her hand foot steps down, and they go clear through, probably like 10 of them go clear through her hand, and she's just walking like it didn't affect her at all. She's not even a limp.
Yeah, she just jumps away. She's like, for a second, she's like, ah.
Ow. But then when she meets back up with Charlize Theron, who is unharmed, of course, and it's just like, no, I'm fine.
And then they just later show him just walking. They do all. There's all the crazy action scenes that mean nothing at all. Like that scene means absolutely nothing. They're just running through a garden for a second, and then they're just walking after that. No, there's no guards at that moment. And then they just show her sometimes just running across bridges, and it's like, why are you running all of a sudden? What? It's weird, the action in this movie.
Yeah. She goes in, and she finds Trevor Goodchild, and she's got him dead to rights. She's got the gun pointed right at his head.
He's gonna get shot.
And she can't do it. She's getting these weird feelings, and he recognizes her for some reason, even though they've never met, supposedly.
He laid a bone into this lady so long ago that was so good that it's traveled through generations to save his life. This is why you always treat people nicely, because you never know. Years down the line, centuries down the line, you might be saving somebody's ass, because whatever he did to her
was so great
that she did not kill him in that moment. So
yeah. So she goes to his room and she finds him, and she's gonna kill him. And then they bang. And literally it's like, he doesn't really explain anything to her or anything. She's just like, why do I get these feelings when I'm around you? And they just go at it. Like, they just get it on.
It's weird because she doesn't seem to remember them banging after the words, or she seems confused by the whole
wakes
situation.
up and she tries to kill him, basically. She chokes him out. She doesn't kill him, but she chokes him out. She's kind of like confused why she's there.
But no other time in the movie do they show people like losing memory or anything like that. They know something's up. They're rebelling against a weird feeling too. Is that what these rebels are?
Yeah. The thing is that it's like everything's kind of off. People everybody has these weird dreams. People are disappearing all the time and stuff. So that's why these rebels have kind of come into existence, because there's just weird shit going on in this, classic dystopia where everything's nice on the outside, but there's an undercurrent of like distrust, and there's weird things. The government's doing weird things.
Keep the gear spinning, buddy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. These people don't realize how good they got it. We're about to have Donald Trump as our president. I would kill to live in a society where they're just like snatching the occasional person off the street and I don't even notice. Like
that's what I was thinking too. I was like, well, these people are rebelling. Just some people disappear. It's not that bad of a
We have people disappear all the time. Nobody's like starting a rebellion about it. Like, we got real problems, man.
No one knows that they're doing it. They just know people are missing, and they're rebelling against the entire government for this.
Exactly. And just because they all have weird dreams, like, we all are feeling weird.
Burn it down.
Burn it to the ground.
This is definitely America. We're in here.
How about you take a fucking Valium? How about that? Try that on.
Chill the fuck out. This poor guy, this poor Trevor Goodchild, man. Jesus Christ, this guy's life.
Yeah, really. He's just trying to help these people. So,
oh my god.
So after she chokes out Trevor. So, and by the way, I just thought it was great that like in the span of what is maybe 2 hours tops, she's gonna kill him, she gets captured, she escapes, she gets a message from him, she goes back, she's gonna kill him, she bangs him, she almost kills him.
Yeah, she almost kills him.
All in the span of like 2 hours.
She's having a hell. Is this what every day is like for this girl? Because she's having a rough one.
It's, the life of a future spy, I guess, right?
Wow.
So she finds a secret, after she chokes him out, she finds his like secret laboratory. Another cool piece of tech here.
That was cool.
She finds this weird like harness thing, and it hooks up to her. She finds what looks like just a fancy old library. But then when she puts on this harness and she hits a button, it reveals the real laboratory. Yeah, and it's like it almost is like some kind of dimensional shift, because there's stuff there that isn't in the room. You know, it's like a totally different room, and it's all this. It's his lab where all his notes are, where Trevor does all his secrets. So we're getting another little piece of the puzzle.
Very labby. It's a very
yeah. And you know, there's some shady, you know, some cryptic message about Group 7B or something like that. We don't get it. We're getting a tiny bit of information. Oh, but wait, we got an obligatory fight's got to break out. We've had a couple minutes go by, so we have a fight with, like, which turns out to be, like, Trevor's bodyguard.
His number one guard.
She gets away and then immediately has a fight with Hands Feet. Because Hands Feet's like, did you kill Trevor? No. Why? It's complicated. You're a traitor. They got to fight now. So, like, seriously, you have two meaningless fights, like, right in a row.
I wanted her to tell that girl so bad, like, well, we're kind of banging now. Like, that girl's mind, like how blown it would have been. Like, wait,
I said
what?
2 hours ago you wanted to kill this guy.
Like, we were all four.
All on the same page here. All on the same page. But yeah, and again, like you said, Hands Feet, that upgrade is completely useless.
Yeah, she
gets her ass kicked by Charlize Theron, no sweat.
Yeah.
Like,
and then she's doing this thing where there's like gardening above, it's like lattice work above them, and she's standing on her hands above
she's not using her hands feet at all. She should be walking on her feet.
And she's doing a handstand. And it's like, and then she just sees the leaves fall and she gets her. It's like, what was the point of that, man?
Yeah, they do not make that look like an upgrade in any way. So after we get the reveal that everybody's clones, we get the, so we find out that Aeon's sister was part of a test group, that 7B we talked about. And they were the first group, they were like naturally getting pregnant. It was working. Mm-hmm. So that's why Orin was having them killed. So they decide they have to, of course, get back into the place they just escaped, which is back into the Citadel so that he can get his notes from the secret lab.
Yep.
So they get back to the lab, and it's too late, of course. Lab's burned, Freya's dead, so all the notes are gone. So they're trying to get out, and of course they get cornered by Orin.
Yeah.
And we're getting down to our big finale kind of showdown here. We have more guns pointing at people, because you have Orin and his dudes pointing guns at Trevor and Aeon, but you also have Hands Feet and her team. They're up in sniper positions.
Yeah, they're going to...
all supporting at Aeon Flux. But at the last minute, she has, instead of having, like, similar to the pills they take, she has one, like, implanted in her spine.
Yeah, that can
she reaches back
just to that girl.
That maybe just talks, but Frances McDormand can see it.
Can see. Also, there's a lot of these people can see because earlier when she bangs dude, they're all just in a circle, like, looking into a well, like, watching it bang. Like, I don't think you can do anything without these people watching you do anything. But yeah, Frances McDormand's there while they're in conversation.
Yeah. And basically Aeon Flux is asking her to directly disobey Frances McDormand in front of Frances McDormand. Yeah. And even though Frances McDormand isn't necessarily like, she's not on the side of Orin and the bad guys, she just doesn't have all the information.
Yeah.
And Aeon Flux is just asking Hands Feet to trust her, and she does, and they start shooting up Orin's guys, and they cover it, and Aeon Flux and Trevor fight their way out, and they kill Orin. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Then she decides to go blow up
the airship. Yeah, she decides for some reason she has to blow up the big airship with Pete Potts.
Yeah, like, okay, they make sure they show us that she hears them say that there's pregnant women, so she knows that cloning...
Right.
But you don't get to just decide that no one's cloned anymore.
Right. Like, maybe you should let Trevor, who has kept this society going for 7 generations, should have a say in how we phase out the cloning.
Like, the medical staff that seems to run this, maybe it would have avoided all this shit with his brother Orin if you'd be like, you can clone yourself, man. Just chill the fuck out. You can clone yourself.
Let us keep having natural births. You can keep cloning yourself. It's fine. And then be like, well, in that case, no need for the murder.
Yeah, we don't have to murder anybody.
Well, but even after she finds out, and it's not like this airship was a storage place for DNA. The DNA was out in, they would take the people when they died, so it's not like they were storing back up. This was literally just like a historical...
Yeah, and it had all the history of like everything. Like,
and Pete Postlethwaite, his job was just to like pair DNA with new families.
Which
like,
she just leaves them and blows them to shit inside.
Yeah, he says he's tired, and then she thinks that it means like I'm ready to die, and just blows the thing up.
I swear, right
like
when
I said,
she's leaving, he's like, oh.
I don't even know, but I don't even know if he was alive per se, because it seemed like he was like one of those weird futuristic AIs that like, cause he seemed to like phase in and out and like move around that hover ship
kind of.
He would disappear and reappear in different areas. So I don't even know if he was alive alive.
They don't explain that.
Maybe he meant like he was an AI of this ship and he was just tired of being a thing. But either way, she doesn't care. She blows it up. She doesn't take anything into consideration. Yeah. She's a first-generation clone, and she thinks she knows what's best for this world. It's been going on for 400 years.
And dude even tries to talk around him, and she's like, it's not your choice. And it's like, what does that mean? You just get to decide then?
It's your choice? I don't get this.
Aeon.
So this movie didn't do well, and it was not well received.
No.
So I wanted to take just a minute to look at a couple reviews. I had pulled them up here on IMDb. Owen Gleiberman from Entertainment Weekly. Theron is an arresting image, but, like everything else in Aeon Flux, she's stranded in a trashy and derivative glum zone of fashion runway fascism. Yeah. It does kind of look like a fashion show sometimes, a little bit.
Yeah,
and it's definitely derivative, especially when you consider this came out, like, right after the Matrix sequels had been, you know what I mean? Like,
it takes a lot from the Matrix. It looks almost like they just shot this on the set of Demolition Man, like at the same time they just held on to. I mean, the Demolition Man and this like look very similar in aesthetic and everything else.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Which, you know, Aeon Flux existed, so they're taking a lot from that world, but you can almost see the pieces that don't fit, that look like they came from the actual source material, and then they just fill in the blanks, I guess, with what they've got.
Well, and you know, we're not going to do any Batman vs. Superman slamming today, even though the Ultimate Edition just came out on DVD. That's not what this show's about. But one thing that I think Zack Snyder's really good at is like bringing images, like iconic images, to life. I actually think Watchmen is really underrated, and I think he did a great job in that. And I think there's some really iconic moments that he brings to life in Batman vs. Superman.
Yeah,
you know, visually, he's really good at that. And I feel like there's an element of that here where it's like there were certain things they definitely wanted to get on screen visually, and they achieved those. But unfortunately, the framework they hung it on, it's like they just pulled a really... Because I'm not... Like I said, I didn't go back and revisit all of Aeon Flux. I do know there's cloning elements in the show. So maybe if I watched it closer, I would pick up, and maybe the story is really...
Yeah.
But they're right, or that review was right in the fact that it didn't have that kind of like tension that the cartoon had when Trevor and Aeon Flux interact in the cartoon. Like I said, it confused my young preteen brain. I was like, ooh,
I see what you're saying.
So,
you had that for like 10 seconds in this.
Well, they bang immediately, so there's no tension at all. They literally, the second time she sees him, she has sex with him. She points a gun at him. She runs away. She
gets hit in the club. She has that sexual tension. Then she gets clubbed.
She gets clubbed. Then she points a gun at him again. Then they bang. That's the whole arc. So all of that is evaporates immediately, and then it's just a guy and a girl escaping a generic sci-fi plot. It's just it's not. Unfortunately, it just didn't do much for me either. I said Pete Possibly. Do you have anybody you want to shout out?
I'm with
characters?
you. It was fun to see Johnny Lee Miller. Johnny Lee Miller. I'm not gonna. He didn't do anything. He was
Orin.
Yeah, I mean, but he was just like maybe one of the worst bad guys ever. Also, just like he just dumped plot on you. That's the only reason they
an exposition machine.
And
like I said, to for some reason not make Trevor the bad guy. And I still think there was a way to do this movie without even having that, with having him be this morally ambiguous character who's been keeping society alive, the question could have been, do the ends justify the means?
Yeah.
And, you didn't need that Orin character at all.
More interesting
character. Right.
Exactly.
Instead of splitting them into a Weasley brother who's just there to be
don't even see
the quote-unquote bad.
No. They just talk about the bad things he's done.
I mean, you do find out that he's behind Aeon Flux's initial attempt on Trevor.
Yeah.
You do find that out. But yeah, it's all like that Weasley politicking, and he's got yes men behind him and stuff. It's like he's not a villain. He's just the other bad. Honestly, before the movie starts, him and Trevor are bad guys together.
Yeah, that's true.
In this society, and it just turns out that Trevor is slightly less bad.
Just sitting around that well, watching people do it all day. That's just pretty much what they do.
Yeah,
It's
a very
that's part of the
society.
research. It's part of the research to see if people.
It's true. They got to find out when people are banging.
That's why.
So they can give them the secret food additives that makes them feel like they're pregnant. So they go to the doctor, and then they can implant the clone.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, didn't you catch all all that?
It's a big part of their day is just watching people do it, man. Big part of my day.
Big part of my day.
So that's why I do like that part of the movie.
Yeah. So now we're going to get to the part of the show that is the hardest. Goodbye versus goodbye. I have to say, looking at the wealth of Aeon Flux stuff I have to watch here, there's like really no reason to even pretend that Aeon Flux is a goodbye.
Yeah. I mean, you have probably much better Aeon Flux.
Right, the show is already better, and like the movie's not even that good of an adaptation. It's also not like there's movies that are derivative, but that are still good, like Equilibrium, which, we're going to do Equilibrium. We're going to get to that.
Exciting.
We just can't do it too close to this one. We got to spread it out. We got to spread it out.
So next week.
Yeah, so cut to Equilibrium next week. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to say it's a goodbye.
Yeah, this is...
I mean, you don't have any...
I'm not even upset.
No, you're...
I've been a little upset, but this one just was like...
Like, it felt bad to say goodbye to King Ralph because you just love John Goodman. But it's like, I like Charlize Theron, but this isn't good. It's just not... And I just don't feel anything for it.
I would never want to watch this again if somebody was like, oh, I'm thinking about checking out Aeon Flux, but like, here's 10 other movies
right,
to watch.
Or like literally go watch the... Oh, man, look at all the crap that's with this. Okay, so I have an Aeon Flux bonus disc, The Effects of Aeon Flux.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the complete animated series soundtrack. This is the soundtrack. This might have come with my box set, and it didn't fit well or something.
Seems to be the same color as
yeah. So, man, I have even more Aeon Flux stuff. I probably won't throw this away.
No,
keep that.
No, yeah. Just we only made this agreement on the movie
right,
itself.
The movie itself, yeah. We don't get rid of...
features Brian Deeves to be okay. He's going to save him.
Yeah. But, yeah, there's so many better movies. There's so many better sci-fi movies. So many better adaptations. There's so many better rip-offs than this.
Yeah, ripping off better movies that I would have told you to see. There's better movies than this, ripping those movies off.
Exactly.
So, yeah, sorry. I really wanted to like this, and there were parts where I thought, like, I'm going to like this, but...
I'll tell you what, I thought when she started doing the stuff with the gadgets, when she was breaking out of jail, I thought they were going to win me back. I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. And even, and even the Killer Garden, I was like, okay, you have ideas. So I like, and it was early in the movie, I was like, and I like that you have ideas, so this could lead into something, and it doesn't really.
It never did. It just took a...
It becomes a weird cloning plot, and they kind of like leave all that cool stuff behind, and just kind of fades into oblivion.
You ruined my childhood, Aeon Flux. All the memories of the MTV show are now fucking dead because of this piece of shit movie.
It sucks that when a bad remake comes out, it erases all the good media that came before it.
Back to the Future style. These just
they just faded away
as we were watching the movie. You keep coming down the stairs like you're looking at that photo.
Oh,
the season 2's gone, man. We have to get to the end, Brian. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
So there, that's what happens. We'll just talk about movies we do like.
Yeah, Back to the Future's good. I like Back to the Future.
But if you are a person, there's probably no great reviews out there. But
do you think there's Aeon Flux defenders?
There's got to be. There's always is. There's somebody who loves this so much that this gets a pass.
That's true.
And they find the good things. I probably would take most of the good things people would say about this movie and be like, yeah, you're right, but come on, the action in this is just...
Overall, you got to take
come on.
Yeah, you can't just
we can hit the parking lot and probably fucking throw together some better scenes with the kids that are out there trying to mug us.
I saw a kid do a kickflip on a skateboard the other day. That was more impressive than this. He wasn't attached to any wires or anything. It was awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, thanks for watching another DVD Bunker. Even on the episodes where the movie is so-so, I love watching it. I love just chewing it up and tearing it apart, just pouring over it. There's always so much to say.
Yeah, it's always a good time.
Be sure to like this video. Subscribe to the Unofficial Fan Fights. We got so many... and not just fan fiction, not just the bunker. Always watch Odd Shape Panel and look for new content. There's always rumblings. We're always talking. We're always looking for new stuff. We've got founders who have ideas. They just haven't pulled them all together yet. So that's coming.
That's exciting stuff. It's exciting stuff. But
I want to always thank Ron and Google Eye Platypi for our music.
Yeah, and reach out to us on Twitter too. Hashtag the Drunksman.
Oh, no, at the Drunksman. At Hurst Achilles. Hashtag
always
DVD
say the wrong
This guy on Twitter so often that he can't remember how it works.
No
wonder I'm not built. I'm out single-handedly trying to build our fan base.
Everyone that follows me also follows you, so it's just redundancy.
You should be retweeting me all the time.
There's like one person I think on my list, and then she's just like, I follow Brian. Just
she gave you a pity follow.
Yeah,
She's like, whatever. I give you a pity follow. Yeah, and we have to give a special shout out to Jeannine, especially today, because we are both enjoying drinks out of our DVD bunker mugs.
It's official, man.
Official.
It's like being on the fucking Letterman show.
Exactly. We are legit. We have completely gone legit. So I've got these on Jeannine's store, G9 Design on TeePublic. If they're not on there anymore, there was some question. We'll just say the TeePublic, I had to send away a couple different times. I don't want to get into it. Jeannine might have pulled the coffee mugs, but the shirts will still be available. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.